Here today, thanks.
And our own drama with our technical difficulties for Congressman Issa have been fixed, and he's back. We thought he was gone. Here now with the first on CNBC to tell us what he's going to ask the embattled head of the auto giant, Representative Darrell Issa, ranking member of the Oversight Committee. Thanks for sticking with us, Congressman.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm trying to figure out, in looking at some of your commentary, who are you more concerned with? What are you more concerned with shedding light on? The way regulators in this country acted, or the way Toyota acted, or both?
Well, I'm concerned with both, but there are 11 major auto companies doing business in the United States, and it's very clear that NHTSA is the one that let us down. They have an $18.4 million budget that is designed to leverage $86 billion worth of these companies' R&D. Their job is simply to say it's not good enough, go back and get it to our satisfaction. They don't need to engineer. They simply need to say, we have complaints and we're not convinced you've resolved them. They're starting to do that today, but it's been a decade of neglect.
So your point is that if it comes down to it, that it's not electronics, and it really is, I don't know, just some kind of mechanical thing with the floor mat or the accelerator, that our regulators knew about this a long time ago and didn't act on it nearly quickly enough. Could have saved people if they had.
They not only knew about it enough to act more, but they failed to know about things they should have. They didn't know about similar cars in Britain that had sticky gas pedals. They didn't know about a fix in Japan, apparently, where instead of, saying take the car mats out, they were actually modifying the accelerator, which today they're doing in the United States, but they were doing this far earlier in Japan. So one of the questions for Secretary LaHood is, when are you going to think global in your reach for what's happening around the world, rather than relying on self-reporting by these car companies?
Congressman, when did they start changing the accelerator pedals in Japan versus when that happened here?
That's a good question. It was about 4 years ago. It was almost 5. It was a similar car, not an identical car, but it was still judged by the Japanese to be a carpet entrapment, and the solution was different, a solution that today is being done here. Very clearly, this is sort of one of those, again, what can we get away with? What's the minimum we need to do? That's what Akio Toyoda has to convince us they're not going to do anymore. They're going to put safety first, so they're going to do the most they can do to be positive that, in fact, their cars are safe, not the least they can do to save money and get past regulators.
And once again, LaHood and Toyota, both Mr. Toyota, both been on the job about the same amount of time, right? I mean, these aren't even the guys that were around when everything was happening.
Well, that's one of the good things, is that Ray LaHood doesn't have to apologize for NHTSA in the past, but he has to pledge to make real differences going forward and tell us how he plans to do it. Akio Toyoda, who has a background in Toyota, in quality, in a number of other areas, he has to say, based on his 50 years of the family being with the company and his decades with the company, how he's going to make these changes going forward. It's always easier when you're the new CEO to blame your predecessor, but we're going to ask for more. We're going to ask for a real vision for how these organizations are going to change.
I think about, our security, the guys watching over the country before 9/11 and after, and the way that the agencies didn't talk. I think about this. I mean, isn't it just the nature of the beast that there will be incompetence? I mean, it almost seems frustrating or futile to even hope that things can change, but I guess that doesn't mean you don't try.
Well, certainly it's the nature of large bureaucracies to add to staff and to go to a lot of meetings and talk about the future, but not actually do the tough work of breaking eggs to make an omelet. In this case, we don't have, even though these agencies do go abroad and talk to each other,
SEC,
we don't have the information.
Think about that, Madoff. Is there one that we could really model a good agency after at this point?
Well, candidly, there isn't a good model, but here's a reasonably good model. When you Google something or do any search in the cloud, you get an amazing amount of information, and it doesn't know national borders. It's everywhere in the world. There's no reason that every VIN number of every car sold in America and around the world isn't part of a global database of recalls and information about that. We deserve it. There are private services that'll tell you if your car's been wrecked, but why is it that even the Department of Transportation if you put your VIN number in, can't tell you what should be fixed on your car to make it safe. There's so many ways that we can use modern technology to make our job easier, to know that we're driving a safe car, and in fact to hold these auto companies accountable.
I mean, would more money help?
You know, more money is the easy answer. This agency's never asked for more money. What I would hope they would do is they would have a vision for what they need to add to their portfolio of skills and tools, and then we can certainly fund it. But ultimately, the $86 billion worth of R&D spent by the top 11 auto companies is what we have to leverage. We have to make them do their job better, and it shouldn't take a lot of dollars to say, hey, we've got complaints in 12 countries about a similar car. Prove to us that in fact you're fixing it, and oh, by the way, we're going to communicate everything back to the other countries so that it's no longer global companies operating differently in different countries with different fixes. That's incredibly inappropriate. That Canada was doing work on recalls with Toyota that the United States wasn't doing, or in fact that General Motors has the Cobalt that has a bigger problem for longer than the Corolla, and yet it's somehow not being treated the same. We need to stop that, and the American people deserve greater safety as a result.
Yeah, we didn't even get into all the conspiracy theories, you know, depending on which state a congressman is from, you know, how tough they're treating the Mr. Toyota. But we'll save that. We're just so glad that we finally got you on that we'll do that. We'll save that for another time. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
What we really need is like a big federal agency that controls health care, I think.
Really?
But yeah, that's that. After listening to that, that's what I think.
A panel.
That's what I think we really
turn
need.
down premium increases.
We haven't gotten any mail today, and I just figure I'd say that after hearing about all these bureaucrats and agencies, let's give our entire health care system to the federal government.
Okay.